iPhone 18 Pro Max, yes. Everyone calm down for half a second. Because according to a new report, the iPhone 18 release date might be just weeks away, and yes, that sentence alone probably made your wallet flinch. But here's the thing, that report might be completely right, or it might be right plus an extra year, and the difference between those two interpretations is exactly why this story is exploding right now. If you searched iPhone 18 release date, when is iPhone 18 coming out, or iPhone 18 spring launch, you're in the right place because what's happening behind the scenes at Apple right now is not a normal iPhone cycle. And once you see how all the pieces line up, this rumor suddenly makes way more sense than it should. So here's the claim. A new report says Apple is preparing the iPhone 18 for a spring 2026 launch. Not September, not fall, spring. As in very soon after the iPhone 17, which on paper sounds absolutely unhinged for Apple. For over a decade, Apple has been boring in the best possible way. New iPhones show up in September, like clockwork. Since 2011, Apple has stuck to that rhythm with only two exceptions. The iPhone 4S slipped into October, and the iPhone 12 got pushed because the world was on fire. Other than that, September has been sacred, which is why this report stopped people mid-scroll. According to 9to5Mac, Apple is expected to launch the regular iPhone 18 in the spring, alongside something called the iPhone 17e, while keeping the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max locked into the usual September window. And if you're thinking, wait, Apple would split the lineup like that, congratulations, you're already ahead of most people on this rumor. Because this isn't coming out of nowhere. For months now, we've been hearing whispers that Apple wants to separate the regular iPhone from the Pro models. Different schedules, different audiences, different upgrade cycles, the folding iPhone rumored for 2026, the mysterious iPhone Air that might not even follow yearly updates. Apple is quietly breaking its own rules. But here's where the story gets weird. Earlier, reports didn't say the iPhone 18 would come earlier. They said the opposite. They claimed the regular iPhone would be delayed by 6 months, landing in spring 2027, not spring 2026, which means this new report flips the entire timeline on its head. So, what changed? The source of this chaos is a Weibo account called Fixed Focus Digital, which reported that after New Year's Day, the iPhone 18 series would begin testing on mass production lines, with manufacturing starting before the Spring Festival. And that festival happens in February. Now, if you followed Apple leaks for a while, you know that mass production timing usually lines up pretty closely with launch windows. When factories spin up, products tend to appear a few months later, which is why some people read this and immediately thought, March 2026, it's happening. And to be fair, that timing isn't insane. The iPhone 16e launched at the end of February 2025. If Apple keeps that rhythm, the iPhone 17e would logically land in late February or early March 2026. In a spring event already makes sense. What nobody expected was the iPhone 18 showing up at that same party. And this is the moment where the story either becomes genius or nonsense, because think about what that would mean. Apple would be launching a next generation iPhone, likely with a brand new processor 6 months before that same generation appears in the iPhone 18 Pro. That's like Apple letting the base model spoil the Pro's surprise. On top of that, when a new iPhone launches, the previous one drops in price. So, would Apple really cut the iPhone 17's price just weeks after it launches? Would Apple really burn through the excitement of a new generation that fast? This is the part no one talks about. Apple doesn't just sell phones, Apple sells moments. The annual iPhone reveal is a ritual, and compressing that cycle risks making everything feel less special, less earned, which is why a second interpretation of the same report is quietly gaining ground What if this isn't the iPhone 18 at all? What if what's being tested right now is actually the iPhone 17e? That theory suddenly solves a lot of problems. If the factories are spinning up small scale production after Chinese New Year, that doesn't mean a retail launch is weeks away. It could mean early testing for a product launching a full year later. McRumors took exactly that angle. Their interpretation is that these are trial runs, not full production, the kind Apple does long before a device ever hits store shelves. Under that view, Apple still launches the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max in September 2026, possibly alongside its first foldable iPhone, while the standard iPhone 18 follows in spring 2027 with the iPhone 18e. And honestly, that version of the story fits Apple way better. It keeps the Pro models feeling premium. It avoids cannibalizing excitement. It lets Apple reuse the same processor architecture across the lineup without awkward timing gaps. And it aligns perfectly with Apple's rumored split launch strategy. TechRadar agrees. Their take is that September 2026 brings the iPhone 18 Pro, Pro Max, and potentially other experimental devices, while the regular iPhone 18 waits its turn the following year. And here's the subtle detail that really sells it for me. Small-scale manufacturing almost never happens more than a year ahead of launch, but it absolutely does happen for validation, yield testing, and supplier alignment, especially when Apple is reworking its entire product calendar. So when you zoom out, this report doesn't mean the iPhone 18 is weeks away. It means Apple is laying the groundwork for a future where not every iPhone launches at the same time anymore. And that's the real story. Apple isn't rushing the iPhone 18. Apple is restructuring how iPhones exist, which also explains the weird naming decisions. The reason the iPhone Air doesn't carry a 17 in its name might be exactly so Apple can slow that product down. No annual pressure, no forced upgrades, a longer runway. If that's true, don't be surprised if the second generation iPhone Air doesn't arrive until 2027 either. So here's the takeaway. If you're waiting to buy a phone, don't panic. The iPhone 18 is not secretly launching tomorrow, but the way Apple launches iPhones is absolutely changing, and this leak is one of the first real signs of that shift happening behind closed doors. Now I'm curious, would you actually want Apple to split iPhone launches like this, or do you think the September cycle should stay untouched? Drop your take in the comments, because this is one of those changes that sound small but could reshape how everyone upgrades. And if this breakdown helped you see the bigger picture, hit like so more people actually see it. If you want the next deep dive on Apple's foldable plans or the real future of the iPhone Air, that video is already waiting for you. More details are coming, and when they do, we'll break them down the moment they matter. See you next video. Peace out.